Hi guys, I'm going to show you now how to build a simple DIY deck planter box or a flower box for the plants on your deck. Myself and my son Caleb here are going to show you
Hello,
how
my
to
name's Caleb and I'm going to be the assistant here.
show you what we've done. So this is what the finished product will look like. Solid, it's actually from the old decking that we've used. So all the offcuts from a deck have been used to make a planter box. If you look at the inside of the planter box, this is where your soil will fit, and obviously the wood that I've used to put this together. Doesn't take much time, it just takes time to just cut, and as simple as screwing them together. And decided to quickly show you guys how we've done this. Myself and Caleb, we quickly put this together in a day, and yeah. The first method was cutting the wood, and most wood, you see, were cut, and we had offcuts of the actual pine. This is treated timber, treated pine that's used for the actual decking frame. So this is framing pine. Again, it's treated so it won't rot. That's the better wood to use than untreated pine. It's actually not expensive, and you can get it at most hardware shops. Get your pine. The decking pieces I have, such as this. This is one of the offcuts. So you can make your box as big or small as you want. It all depends on your pieces that you've got or your offcuts that you have. And my pieces had various lengths. So I've got, I think this is an 85 centimeter, an 80 centimeter long, and the one on top there was about 87 centimeters, and I've got a 60 centimeter. So it's different lengths, you know. Again, you can cut them to a standard length, but I've got a fairly big deck, so I'm going to place them in different places, so it doesn't really matter on the sizes. Again, I use offcuts and put them together. Get your lengths, whatever you want to use. Once you get your length, you can place your different lengths down, like I've done here. Cut your piece of wood to the height that you want. I've cut mine slightly smaller. This is a sample piece of what I've done. So that's the feet, but the deck itself also provides some stabilization. Alright, so just two uprights for the one side and two for the other side. So generally 4 pieces of uprights you'll need. Again, I've cut mine slightly shorter than the top end. This will allow me to put soil up to this end. You won't see the top end of the stumps, so the soil will actually end up here. You don't want the stumps to be sticking up above the frame, slightly smaller than the frame. Again, once you cut your frame, your wooden frame, place it on. As I said, this is a sample piece. You place it on and you start screwing them in. And the way I've done mine was just putting in some chipboard or self-tapping screws. And again, if you look at this piece of sand, you place on top, square it up generally with the base. Right, once it's squared up, put your screw on there, start with your first 2 on the bottom so that you can actually adjust your frame so it's flat as possible and vertical as possible. It doesn't need to be perfect, guys. This is all offcuts, and it's saving the planet. Instead of throwing all these offcuts away into a landfill, you can actually make some use of this. Guys, so as we say, these offcuts here can be used to create your planter box. Alright, and again, it needs a jigsaw. Alright, and if you don't have a jigsaw, you've got a cut saw. A simple cut saw will do to cut your lengths. Again, it's all up to you how high, how long you want to make these things. Alright, so the panels will be put together. Again, once you make your panels and put them together, your heights of these, again, does not need to go above the rim of the planter box. Kept a little bit shorter than the rim of the planter box so that the sand will actually come to this point here as well. Looks a little bit more presentable than a piece of wood sticking out and above the soil. Once you've got your panels, your long panels put together, try and make sure that it's at least can stand up. Just a single panel. Alright, as you see, these are damaged pieces of cut, as I mentioned. Second part was cutting these shorter pieces that will actually be the end of the plant box. Alright, these shorter panels will stack up. Essentially, again, the height determines how many pieces you need. Okay, again, you will start off as flush as possible. When you're making this thing, you're going to be as flush as possible. Again, flush as well to the other long panels. These short panels need to be here. Once they're screwed in, alright, you'll have a set. You will do the same but on the other end. These panels here again were measured based on these pine wood, pine decking. So this is a treated pine decking. Again, I use this. I should bought these two lengths. That's the only additional things I purchased other than screws, were these two lengths of treated pine decking. So these will form the base, and I've actually used a jigsaw and cut them out and notched them. And again, this notch is actually the same wood here, the size. Use this as a sample piece. You trace it out, use a simple jigsaw, and these pieces will fit into the box like so. Alright, again, this is done at the last part, but what I use these for, if you put two of these together, this for me was 110 mils, so essentially this is about 220 mils wide, which determines the width of this. So now, due to the thickness of these edge panels here, the long pieces, I had to take into account the width of the internal diameter, internal volume that I would require of this portion here. And again, with the lengths cut out, if I had to put two pieces here, just to remember this thing, and if I had a second piece up here, right, with my other panel placed over here, this will actually close off the actual decking here. Okay, this is not the right thing, but if it was, it would have been a piece that front snugly. So that's our finished product that we'll get to. Again, this width of this piece is determined by calculating, once placed in here, for the actual stand to fit snugly end to end. Alright, so again, if you stand these two up, this is what it'll be like. Again, the piece can be measured up here, and my pieces were 24 mils, so 24 mils on either end, because you got the both sides. So 24 mils on this end, 24 mils here, give me the internal part. And yeah, we'll proceed now to step 2. Okay guys, I'm using standard Chibot screws over here, but a square head just helps to hold it in place, you know, compared to a posi drive. So makes it easier just to screw in. It gets a little bit more torque. Again, I'll try and measure it on the height of this, alright, which will take me up to about midway into the wood. Alright, so if I measure it up on the side, again, we're going to try and get this thing flush as possible to this feet. Okay, this is the bottom end. I'm trying to get this thing as flush as possible from there. Doesn't need to be 100% perfect, best as possible. Right, so that should be about midway. Try and just hold it as tight as possible. There we go, that's done. Right, this is in place. Right, it's in. I'm going to put one for the moment. Again, my intention is to balance this out. So I'm going to keep adding panels all the way to the top. Again, the surface should be flush over here. Alright, and we should get away with this. So I'll be back to show these three installed. Guys, so I've put in the 3 panels, 1, 2, 3. Just put in 1 screw per panel, just hold it in place. Okay, the intention is once I place the other 3 on that end, I'm going to flip this over onto its next side panel, right? So you've got a left and a right panel, put it that way. So it's a set, right? So the pair, I should call it then. So this is the pair, and once I assemble the 3 short panels, short ends, we'll flip it over onto this and screw these in as well. Alright. Okay guys, I just finished the other set of the side panels. So left and right have been done. So then again, just 1 screw again in case I need to realign it, twist the frame. These decking are old, so with time left out in the open and not being screwed in, you do find sometimes they kind of get bowed, a bit warped. So you might have to just wiggle and twist the frames into place. Alright, so we're going to flip this onto that. Alright guys, you can see I'm flipping this over to make the 2 pairs. So I'm trying to get this as flush as possible here. And here's the other leg, right, opposite to this. So this is now flush, and on this end, that's flush. So it's a simple process of just screwing these panels in, right? And again, later you could always go back and shave these, make them flush as possible and make it neat. Like I got a little bit of a piece sticking up here, right? You can always go and just grind it down with some sandpaper, right, to make it flush. Something similar to this, a little bit neater, but hey, it's out the planter box, right? So again, once you flip it over, you can see the sides again. You see it's loose still. So I'm going to screw this down. The weight is obviously holding it down over here flush as well, which helps if you're working alone. I've got no clamps, as you can see, so I didn't get everything. And I will put a link in the description down for where I did pick up certain items, alright, for this project, which we'll be using later on. So again, we'll start screwing these sides on and we'll pick this box up in a few minutes. Okay guys, so you can see I screwed in, top frame was already done, flipped it over, through the bottom. This is now secured. What I've done as well, I've just went and I've just put in one on this one as well, just to hold it down, so I can just turn it around, make it a little bit easier to screw it. Got an angle here to work, but we'll be able to flip it over, and then we can just remain the screws, start putting them in. Okay guys, let's turn this up. Boom, it's already stabilized, and I haven't even put in all the screws. I'm gonna now finish it up. Let's put in all the screws, getting the frame sorted out, and yeah, we'll be good to go. Yeah, I can see some gaps over here, some pieces longer, shorter, not too a problem. And yeah, I'm still happy with the product, finished product. Again, we'll just grind it down, shape it, and we'll be sorted. Okay guys, so as you can see, we've got some places here where it's slightly not aligned, hence the 1 screws. And if I press against the wood, you can see I bring it into alignment over here. Alright, hence my putting just 1 screw per panel, so that I can actually maneuver this to get it as flush as possible. Alright, now that I've got it squared, I can add additional screws. Alright, so currently you can see it's wiggly. If you look at it now, out of alignment. Again, I can bring it into alignment, and I'll just put my finishing screws. So 2 screws per panel on both ends, which will total 4 screws per panel, and we should be done. Okay guys, as I brought this into alignment here now. Alright, so again, my pieces are short on the inside. Just gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4 for me on my wall. which will get me just to the top of this point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, again in alignment with the other screws. Alright, somewhere around here. 3, 4, kind of hold this alignment. So guys, the first screw has been put in that now actually stabilizes. There's no more rocking happening on this. We've got 2 on this one panel now. Each one just had, 3, but 2 on one side. But each one generally just had 1 on each side. Right now I've got 2, which actually brings us into a lock position. Again, somewhere around here. Boom. So this is actually solid and stable. So I'm going to continue now. Just keep adding the secondary screws so that each panel have 4 screws, such as this 1, 2, 3, 4. These just have the 2. On the far end, I'll be doing the same. And again, as I mentioned before, you see the bow on these things. This is due to being left outdoors, not being screwed down, and again, not being held down with the decking screws and so on. So again, these panels, like most wood or most plastic, this is a plastic carbonate or something with wood and recycled plastic. These things are made of. So yeah, it's an environmental kind of product. It's kind of a plastic environmental product. So again, it still gets warped with heat and not being screwed down. So this bow shape here will actually kind of manipulate it with some pieces of wood to kind of push it out so that I can get those panels placed into it. Again, I'm going to just finish off the extra screws on both ends, and we'll come back and we'll show you how we actually get the supporting frame for these 2 long planks, or the supporting planks for the sand. Be right back. Alright guys, so we've actually installed all screws, alright, on these the far end panels. So both end panels, the short end panels, both sides have been secured. This frame is proper, it's solid. Alright, all I'm going to do now is install these supporting pieces, and these are the treated timber again that I've used. They shouldn't rot for many years being treated, so there shouldn't be any problem with water from the soil. But we've got a trick up our sleeves. We won't be putting it in direct contact with sand or direct contact with water. We'll be putting a plastic sheet, so just extra protection for the wood. So if it does get wet, it doesn't really matter because it is treated. And again, this wood can be left outside in the wet, in the weather, and no issues. Alright, so we can actually cut these again 2 sides, and again you can see these things fit perfectly here. And as I move it in, it's tight, you can't put it in. Alright, as we mentioned, the plastic or the decking or wood is kind of bowed, so these need to be installed. Alright, so try and work from close to where your uprights are, because it's been held in position. Alright, push it in. Okay, work your way down. Find your location. I'm going down. There's 1 panel here. There's a line. Going 2 down to about this. So where the first panel ends is panel 1. I'm going 2 notches on my one to the second level. Alright. Makes it easy for mine. Again, you can put a measuring tape if you want, and with a measuring tape you can measure as well if you don't have convenience of my notches on my wood, on my decking. Alright, and again, second piece. Get a little bit harder. That should be about there. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put screws from the outside. I'm going to measure from the top, 2 screws to hold it on both ends. Alright, so the screws will actually hold this thing up, supporting this piece of wood. Again, you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the uprights for the legs. But there's actually also a frame. The actual frame, it's also been held together. This is directly in contact with the current decking. So they also form part of the stabilization and legs. And these pieces of wood again. So it's 5 pieces thus far, or 6 pieces, sorry. Right, 2, 4, 5, 6. And again, these will be secured now with screws. Okay. Alright guys, so the inside pieces have been placed in here, so I'll just kind of gauge where it should be for the soil level. Quite a lot of soil I'll be able to put it through here. And if I measure from the inside, okay, to about halfway there, it's about 25 centimeters. Alright, so 25 centimeters will get me midway to the roof. So I'm just gonna gauge this. Alright, where 25 will be. Right, and I'm just eyeing it from the top end straight down. If I eye it from there, right, so the tape is almost in alignment, right, to the inside portion. Five's about there. Oops, about that. Just gonna hold on the inside as well. Okay, so if you have a look on the inside, you will see the screw is in and not damaged. Alright, so we've got the first screw in there. I'll put the second one now. Okay, second screw in. Holding the inside, make sure not twisting. Okay, 2 screws are in. If you look from the inside, it's all just fine. There's no problem on the inside. The screws are not coming out. And this is secure. I'll do the same on the opposite end, and I'll do the rest as well. So I'm going to put my screws in and support this. Alright, so now put in the opposite end screws. Alright, that's supporting the inside support frame for this sand shelf, I'll call it that. Again, this was cut previously. Again, you just take a piece of wood, right, and you line it up, pencil it out, use a jigsaw, simple cut. Again, perfectly fits. Alright, you can see the length obviously dependent on your internal diameter that we've got. I've cut mine slightly shorter just to make it movable. And again, you just have to push it down and secure this thing. Tight. Let's see. Lift the right frame. Boom. All right. Here's the support. It's quite sturdy. I mean, that's quite a lot of weight in place on top of it. It's perfectly flat. Doesn't need to be perfectly flat, but it is. Alright, so the frame is in. We've got the frame mounted. I'm going to drill some holes in here, maybe 2 or 3 holes, just for water drainage. Okay, so we're going to just drill that shortly, 3 holes, and then we're going to actually line this thing with plastic for prevention of water seeping through. Well, on my decking, I've got grooves in the actual panel. If you've noticed, alright, these grooves here lead out, which can flow out of this thing And again, sand can get out of this as well. So again, to prevent water and sand from coming out from these side gaps here, right? To prevent it from coming out on the internal side, I'm going to line this with plastic. Alright, so just line it with some plastic, or you get some netting, or what you call it, felt that you use for the lawns in the nurseries that prevents weed from growing through, so you can use that as well. But I just got some plastic that I'll line this up nicely, drill the holes I've mentioned, and I'll staple it up. Okay guys, we're going to just drill some holes now. Just using a size 16, looks like a good enough size. Just going to go down around here. I mean, we've got the frame that's about here, so maybe around here then. About 3 or 4 holes. Hole number 1. Alright, again, this is treated wood, so it shouldn't rot. It's treated pine. And again, it's not a constant water, constant contact with water, but this is a drainage hole for the water. So that's 1 hole. I'm going to drill maybe number 2, number 3, and number 4. I think that's sufficient draining for, you know, any water that's coming in here. Again, I will put a bit of mesh or the felt that I spoke about that they use for weeds that allow the water to go through this holes. And yeah, be right back. Alright guys, so we drilled the 4 holes here, right? And again, this is more than sufficient for drainage, I believe, for water to get out of this. And yeah, if it gets down out of this, you know, it's just going to go down to, if you got it on grass, it'll go onto your grass. I've got this on my deck, so it's not going to stand in the stagnant water. It'll just get into my deck and evaporate or seep down to the ground. So yeah, so there won't be standing water here. It'll get down through this, which is an empty cavity in the bottom, which leads to the ground, floor, grass, or whatever you got it standing on. So the next step will be getting the plastic sheet and stapling it up. Be right back. Alright guys, so what I've got for myself was some heavy duty drop sheet from Chamberlain's. I think this was about 50 Rand for 5 meters by 2 meters, and it's 80 micron, which is quite a lot, quite thick. Right, so that's the drop sheet that'll be used to line this cavity for the soil, or where the soil will sit. You need a staple gun, which is convenient to have. If you don't have one, not an issue, you can just make do without it, but I'm going to use a staple gun. Right, and this was actually quite cheap. It was 149 Rand from Galma, and it actually allows us to use, you know, different type of staples. We have 3 different types of staples, and nails as well. So it's 2 staples and a nail, or brad nails as we call it, and it comes with 200 pieces of each one. All right, and it's of 149. And again, this is a heavy duty version of this. Right? Just bought some extra staples as well. It's like 50 Rand, and the membrane, or the felt, as we spoke about. So these are for weeds, generally under your decks or places where you don't want your weeds to grow through. Alright, and this is a 10 meter roll by 1.1 meters wide. Again, I bought this from Chamberlain. This was like actually 100 Rand, quite cheap actually for 10 meters, and more than enough. I mean, I could use this membrane, felt, or whatever you call it, a cloth, as a lining, but I'm going to use the plastic. I prefer that because I actually don't want the water to actually get out from the sides. So I'm going to use my plastic and just use a piece of this membrane. I'll be actually bought a bigger roll for another project I'll be doing later on with pellets, but this now will be used just for lining the base of this for the water to seep through, and it'll allow obviously proper drainage. No soil will get through, just the water. Alright, we'll show you how we actually will use a staple gun and put this in. Okay, right guys, cut the sheet to size, lined up, so. Alright, I'm going to make it neat. Start tacking it down from one end. Start from the corners. Crease it, make our way down all the way through. And I'll need Caleb's help in holding this just now. So this will line it up. Obviously you can trim the plastic away if it's too high. I've just made mine slightly bigger than I need for the purpose of just placing it in here. And again, we just want to line this up. Soil will cover all pieces up. You won't be able to see the plastic later. And again, it's meant for protecting the soil from draining out, and obviously getting out to these big gaps that I've got here, and also the water to be retained for retaining moisture, but just enough to get it out through the holes in the bottom. Alright guys, the plastic has been laid. We stapled it on the corners. The side corner quite neat versus the other corner, but the sand will be on top of this, so you won't actually see all this creased plastic any which way. Again, you don't need to do the plastic. I've just lined the lines of plastic. The holes obviously have been revealed. Previously we drilled, just made holes through the plastic. Alright, and yeah, it's in place now, you know. Again, the sand will be placed over this thing. So I've just done a quick test with this weed protector membrane or cloth. So it's actually too good. It's actually way too good. You know, it takes quite a long time for the water to get through, you know. Just done a test to see, you know, when I noticed it, that there's actually quite a lot of tiny indentations, but they're not actually holes, which look like holes. So the water takes a while to actually seep through, which I don't want. You know, I want the water to be able to get out of this, not to stand for days on end, and obviously rot the roots. So again, the water is going through. It takes a long time, but so I've decided to actually not use this membrane for the purpose of drainage, and I've actually used some old membrane that I had for waterproofing membrane. So this, as you can see, has microscopic holes, quite a lot, and water does get through to this, right? Again, it's a waterproofing membrane. Again, you can use anything that, you know, you've got around that's coarse enough to let water through, but or fine enough to let water through, but coarse enough to prevent the sand from getting through. Alright, so I'm going to actually use this membrane here. I'm going to place it down in this. Okay, you can use a full sheet, whatever you want. I'll just use a full sheet for my purpose, and soil go on top of this. And if I actually pour some water now, let's actually test it out. I mean, where's my hole? Alright, there's a hole right here. Right, so hole is here. Just pour some water. Okay, see, the water is actually getting through. You see the plastic under is getting wet. Alright, look at that. So the water is getting out. So that's perfect. Again, we just need the water to get out from here. Got the holes. Boom, this membrane is perfect. Cut to size. Good to go, guys. I'll trim the plastic off and neaten this up, fill it with sand, and we'll show you the complete product. So guys, I actually purposely left this unbuilt to show you the different phases. Alright, where we started from the panels, and where we assembled those panels using all the pieces to just getting it to form, alright, of a box. And from there we have the base panels cut. Alright, from the base panels we've got the support for the base panels, and those actually for the soil that goes up here. Alright, from that stage moved on to where we installed the base panels. Alright, this is just some extra wood I've got just to get the outside, which was getting warped, you know, to get a little bit more in. Alright, so now that the base panels are mounted, we take these shelves, which is actually meant for the soils, and placed it in there. Alright, once placed in there, we lay down our plastic. Alright, and from the plastic we drilled holes before laying the plastic. Drill the holes, that's for drainage. Again, 4 holes should be fine. 1, 2, 3, and a 4th hole should be more than sufficient for drainage. Alright, plastic was laid, and we placed in a membrane or any material that will allow just the water to get out. You don't want over time your soil getting through those holes. Alright, so place some sort of felt in the material. Alright, and this is obviously with soil now placed in here. Alright, your height, right, should just be obviously lower than your actual top, the frame. You don't want your sand and water, you know, as you fold it in, overflowing, so just a little bit lower. So this is almost a bag of topsoil that I've put in here. Alright, and here's the membrane that's underneath that I've laid down. Alright, so I'm just about showing you what it looks like, and obviously your plastic. Alright, so I'm just going to put a little bit more soil in here, just about a handful of such, and this will be up to level, and you'll be ready to plant. So again, I've built 4 boxes. Alright, and these are just 3 different sizes, starting with the panel at the last box we built, and through the different stages we've been through. As I've mentioned, alright, we've got the Mythic and Caleb helping us over here.
Oh no.
Alright, sorry guys. Right, so we've gone from membrane soil to our different bowls. Alright, and obviously the equipment, different stages that I've worked through to get to this point where the bag of soil is in. Alright, and again, with the help of Caleb over here, helped me the whole day to get these boxes. It can take a day to do all the boxes quite easily. And again, we've done this, it's completed. We'll get some flowers tomorrow to get this done.
And plus you can make 4 boxes like in 4 days, because we just made 4 boxes in 4 days.
Yeah, so it took us 4 days, you know, cutting the wood. I spent an hour or 2, you know, a day just doing this. So I didn't spend an entire full day. Again, slowly over time, you work this. Again, you can take a full day and cut your wood. And once your wood is cut, you can start assembling and you get it done in a day. But we just took it 2 hours a day, every afternoon for 2 hours, an hour to 2 hours we spent. And we built these boxes, and the boxes are now built and ready for planting. And obviously I'll move this around our deck, and we shall be ready for planting the next day or so.
Thank you guys for watching this video. Please, we hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe this video and comment your favorite part of the video. Thank you for watching.